Well, hello, everybody. It's me, Ashley, Veggie Lifter, Mama B, whatever you want to call me. So, I've been promising a YouTube video answering some questions that I got a couple weeks ago, and I'm finally ready to do it. Life has been crazy between transitioning to a new job, which, by the way, I'm transitioning to a new job. I love where I work. I work currently at Providence um, Health Systems, and I work in neurology, and it has been a wonderful almost 2 years, but unfortunately they don't have part-time positions. And right now with the gym and my coaching business, which I love, I want a little bit more flexibility and I want part-time. So I found an outpatient sports kind of orthopedic kind of general wellness clinic. They do Pilates, a bunch of other things. I'm super excited, and I'll also be in the pool. So I'll be doing that 20 hours a week, and then coaching power lifters and lifters the other whatever amount of hours that takes me. But I always said, being in physical therapy, I would only want to work with high level athletes if I was going to do sports and like, football team, basketball team, whatever. But I really like coaching lifters, and I'm using my physical therapy. I went to school for 9 fucking years. So I should be able to use all of that education in helping people with technique, form, corrections, exercises, being better lifters. And it's fun, and everybody's getting stronger, and I love it. So, and Stephen and I are in the process of buying a duplex. Well, we're trying to. We have inspections, so we will see. It's like really not something you want to announce until you pass inspections, because the whole thing could just fall through my fingers if it doesn't pass. So, I screenshotted the questions that I was asked a couple weeks ago, and I want to address them, not in any particular order. What is a good exercise to strengthen your low back? So, I don't know if this person's talking about having low back pain, because that's a whole nother issue, but just exercises in general. Good mornings with a safety squat bar, banded, or straight bar. Glute ham raise, but doing just back extensions on it, 45-degree back extension. Having a strong core is going to strengthen your back. So doing abs, doing obliques, everything. It's not just one-sided, or like abs. Having a strong core in general is going to give you more stability and strength. And also, if you have a reverse hyperextension, that one's really good for back as well. How did you go from modeling to powerlifting? I wish I was a model, but I was never a model. I did some, like, if you like Google me, which don't, probably some of you will now, you can see like some photos from my past. Nothing is bad, but I did some like photo shoots with people along the way growing up. More my friends that were photographers that needed like T for P, T for CD, time for print, time for CD. Basically, you just exchange, like, you get the photos and they get the experience. So that was all of it. Lemons, I don't know what that means. What can I do to help with bicep tendonitis? I'm competing on March 16th. That's today! Well, tendonitis is an acute inflammation of the tendons, so it's typically from overuse. I don't know if you're talking about bicep here or bicep here. Typically, people who get the shoulder bicep tendonitis is because you're benching with improper form and you're putting a lot of stress on that anterior shoulder, which that bicep goes into the labrum. It's one of the most common overuse slash tendon injuries I see in lifters. And if you just kind of change the technique, change the angle, and allow the lats to do a little bit more work, you can take a lot of stress off of that anterior shoulder. But the prescription for any itis, tendonitis wise, is ice massage is excellent for tendonitis. So basically, take a Dixie cup, freeze it, fill it like halfway, freeze it, and then you can peel the Dixie cup away, and you have a nice like handle to hold on to, and you can ice that area wherever it may be. You want to ice it until it's numb. It usually takes about 3 to 4 minutes, and then all the blood flow is going to go away, because tendons aren't vascular areas. You want to be able to reduce inflammation and swelling, and then when fresh new blood comes in, it's going to sweep away all that bad nasties, go through your lymphatic system, and hopefully give you some fresh circulation and nutrients. And then also taking, I'm not prescribing anyone this, but this is my general recommendation, would be taking a clinical dose of naproxen, which is Aleve. I prefer naproxen because it lasts for 10 to 12 hours, whereas ibuprofen you need to take every 4 to 6 hours. Taking that for 2 to 3 weeks consistently at, I mean, you can, 375 is like the starting clinical dose, but you can do up to 600 twice a day. And when you take a pain reliever, you don't want to only take it when you have pain, because you'll be doing this. You'll be going pain, decrease, pain, decrease. If you're having some kind of like inflammation-based pain pattern, you want to take an inflammation-based pain reliever consistently to be able to relieve that pain and not have it do highs and lows, so that we're keeping the inflammation down. And also avoiding any aggravating exercises. So if you can do dumbbell shoulder press, but you can't do flat bench, there you go. Try to avoid those aggravating exercises, and then get with someone who can help you with better form if that's what it's from. Maybe it's from your prep, since you're competing today. When did you start powerlifting? I started powerlifting 3 years ago. I was a bodybuilder and I was mediocre, and then I did one powerlifting workout with a friend, and 3 weeks later I had my first competition. That's just how I am. I'm like balls to the walls, all in. But I wanted to see what it was all about. Do you train differently from Westside Conjugate? I do full conjugate. I do max effort upper body, max effort lower body, and dynamic upper and lower. If anybody wants to talk conjugate, it's a lot of setup, a lot of crazy shit. You have to be at a gym that has the proper equipment, or you need to buy some proper equipment, because you can't just be at LA Fitness and do conjugate method. It does not work. How can I prevent lower back injury when I deadlift and squat? Get somebody to teach you proper form. If you're having back pain every time you deadlift and squat, unfortunately, you're probably doing it wrong. Abdominal bracing, keeping a neutral spine, giving the pressure into the four walls of your core against a belt, having proper abdominal stability, having the strength there, and also having proper form and technique. So maybe you need someone to help you with proper form and technique. What is with your man's nudity obsession? I mean, he's got a banging bod. So I ain't hating. I'm sure y'all ain't hating. Lift your lover and kiss him for us when you cradle and carry him. Noted. What's your main muscle group focus? I don't necessarily know what that question's. I'm reading these all for the first time. I don't know what that means. I train everything except for calves, because I have genetically ginormous calves. Literally in the past 4 years, I've chained them twice. I just do not need to, because my pants and shit already don't fit. Sorry, boys. I know you're probably jelly. Let's see. How does someone start competitively powerlifting? Well, you look online for your local affiliation. The two most popular are USPA, USAPL. They both have different rules and regulations, so that would be something to consider. And you sign up for one. That's it. And then you just make a plan and you do it. If you've never, ever, ever lifted weights before, I would recommend getting with someone, not just like a personal trainer, because honestly, any Joe Schmo can go online and get a personal trainer certificate. I'm not downgrading that profession as a career, but when it comes to form, technique, and mechanics, you can't learn those through an online portal. That needs to be something that takes skill, knowledge, and most likely hands-on experience, personal experience rather. So if you've never, ever, ever lifted a weight at all, I would recommend getting with someone that can teach you form and give you the basics. If you are, already on your way to weightlifting, I would just sign up for a meet, because honestly, I see people who train for years and they're like, yeah, I'm a power lifter. In my mind, you're not a power lifter unless you compete in a powerlifting competition. Because being in the gym, a gym PR is 100% different than a powerlifting PR, an actual meet PR. And anyone can tell you that's done a competition, it's totally fucking different. The mental game, the timing, the setup, the equipment, everything is different. And until you've experienced that, you don't really know where your strength lies. Because I see so many people who are like, I'll compete when I get this, and this weight, when I can squat this and bench this and deadlift this. And I'm like, well, you could do that all in the gym, and then you could step on the platform and you could only be at like 70% of those lifts, because the platform is totally different. And also, peaking and preparing for a powerlifting meet is totally different than just going in the gym and maxing out your bench that day. You're doing 9 maximal effort lifts basically in like 4, 5, 6 hours. It's a totally different experience. So I would just say start by finding a competition, sign up, read the rules, figure out which one is best for you. There's definitely differences, and then compete. That's it. Just try it. Find someone else who's a powerlifter and ask them a bunch of questions. Google stuff. Just get your feet wet so then you know whether you like the sport or not, and then you know what you need to do to progress to do it better next time. Tell Stephen Balls your mama I said what's up, cheering you on hard from Ventura County. I will tell him, and what's up to you too in Ventura County. The best warm-ups for bench, squat, and deadlift. I am a minimalist when it comes to warming up. I tell everybody this, even though I'm a PT and I'm all about health, joint protection, all this stuff. I am not one that's like sitting there doing cat-cows and weird stretching for 40 minutes because I feel like, to me, none of that translates to my actual lift. For bench, I need to warm up my shoulders, so I will do some over-unders with the PVC pipe. I will stretch into external and internal rotation to get my shoulder girdle all warmed up. I will also do a little bit of band work and just get some blood flowing to those muscles. But basically, I feel like your best warm-up is actually doing the lift in a lightweight fashion. Squatting with the bar, benching with the bar. And if you are a light bencher and you can't bench more than the bar, doing some dumbbell work. Doing something that's going to give the muscles that you're actually moving blood flow to them. When it comes to deadlift, I know a lot of people like to do lat pull downs to get those lats engaged. I like to do good mornings, either with a band or just free good mornings. And for squat, I definitely use a hip circle. I really bend over and I try to engage my glutes. So I really like stick my butt out and I do some duck walks up and down. And I also do some squats with the hip circle, really to get my glutes firing. But all I do is get the muscles that I need firing engaged. And then I just start doing the movements under the bar because I feel like that's the best way. Always getting beat up. Signs for when an injury isn't minor anymore. There's an acute and a chronic phase. Acute phase is typically when you're talking about like muscles, tendons, stuff like that, 1 to 2 weeks. If the injury or pain is persisting past 1 to 2 weeks, you've now gone into the chronic phase of pain. And now it's not an itis anymore. It's an osis, tendinosis. Then basically, if you're performing a movement and you're having severe pain every time you perform a specific movement, that's probably not a good sign. If something's just inflamed and like kind of achy, that is a little bit different than if you're having some severe pain. Go to a PT, go to a chiro, go to an ART person and kind of have them assess you. What kind of supplements do you take? I take BCAAs like 3 out of 5 days a week to help branch chain amino acids. It's what makes up your muscles to help with recovery. I eat a lot of salt to help keep my sodium water balanced. I take potassium, magnesium, D3, iron, calcium, all pills in the morning. I am not huge on like creatine, arginine, all that stuff. I just don't. I drink a Bang sometimes. Well, almost every day, but that has creatine and stuff in it as well. And then my pre-workout, I like Juggernaut Nutrition because they have one that has BCAAs in it as well. But I'm not huge on a lot of supplements, honestly. I try to take the minimum effective dose so I don't have expensive piss. Do you do human lifts? I love my Indian friends who think it's so hilarious when women lift men. Yes, I lift my husband all the time. Why do powerlifters curve their back when they bench? It gives you a mechanical advantage on the bar. Powerlifting is all about the mechanical advantage so that you can lift the most weight safely with the least amount of effort. So what that's doing is it's decreasing the rep range. It's also changing the lever so that it's not flat and you're not using your pecs and your shoulders. You're changing that angle and it's engaging the angle of your serratus and your lats. Those are larger muscle groups that you can control the bench with. Also more your posterior shoulders. So for a lot of reasons, but basically it gives you more muscle groups to lift the same weight and decreases the range that you have to do it in. Thoughts on TB500 and BPC157 for injuries? Never have tried them. I have had some friends who had, and I haven't heard anything bad, but just one person that I know was using it. So not too much anecdotal evidence. I haven't really looked into it. Those are peptides, if you guys are wondering. What do you think front squat has a big carryover for deadlift? Also, I miss everyone. I miss you too, Chris. Robez. Come back, please. Do I think front squat has a big carryover? No. The reason why is because when you're deadlifting, so sumo, the groundbreaking force is quads. And yes, you have a bias on quads when you're front squatting, but the most important factor is the posterior chain, glutes, hamstrings, and erectors, low back. So I feel like front squat is a tool. Like, I fucking hate front squats and I have a really hard time doing them. So I do other things. I feel like if you enjoy front squats, it can definitely be a tool. I don't think it's like, if you do this, the carryover will be XYZ% increase in your deadlift. I think having better deadlift mechanics and understanding the muscle groups employed for the lift will be better. So the groundbreaking force for sumo is like 220% quads to get it off the ground compared to conventional, which is your spinal erectors, that low back. But I think for both, the glutes are the most. If that answers your question, I hope. We know you are a vegetarian, but what type of diet plan do you use to stay on weight? Right now, basically what I like to do, aside from maybe 1 to 2 days a week where I go like off plan, I don't really have a plan. I like to eat the same things every day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Maybe I have a lifting day of food and a non-lifting day of food, and one has lower carbs. But if I'm eating the same thing every day and something's off with my lifting, then I know it's not my food. But if I'm eating different shit all the time and like my body feels weird or my body feels off, it could be from my food and I don't want it to be. So aside from, like I said, maybe 1 to 2 days a week where I eat 1 or 2 things weird, basically my weight kind of stays the same. So what I'll do is I'll pick like a plan and I'll track it in my MyFitnessPal and I'll see where I'm at calorie wise, because I like to be around 2,500, maybe 3,000 calories, with some certain ratios for carbs, proteins, fats. It's different for everybody, so we don't need to hammer on mine. And then I just know that those foods are those ranges, and then I eat it every day. And then when I get sick of it in a couple of months, I do it again with some new foods. And that's about it. How did I juggle becoming a doctor, being married, owning a gym, and competing in powerlifting? I don't know. Honestly, as soon as like my life gets complacent or just like slows down, I'm like, okay, what's next? And I feel like that's just my personality, and it's always been that way. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I am transitioning to a new job because right now I cannot juggle them all successfully. I feel like I'm being pulled in way too many directions. But I want to be able to be a successful coach. Right now, that's very important to me. I want to be a successful gym owner, and that's very important to me. And I don't want opportunities to slip through my fingers for growing and enhancing the community we've created. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I do some superhuman things with how I manage my time. I don't like to sit around and watch TV too much. So honestly, if I said that, like, that's my key to success, is I am always doing something, and that's just how I roll. What are my future goals regarding competition? I really want to do a competition this summer. I really want to pull over 450. I really want to hit a 300-pound bench this year. I feel like it can happen. And I want to hit over 450 squat as well. I don't know. The numbers, I don't really harp on the numbers too much. As long as I'm progressing in the sport, I'm happy. So I put a lot on my total over the past 9 months, and I'm super pleased with that. So it can only get better from here. And I want to stay injury-free. You're amazing. Thank you. Do you have any tips for helping a shoulder injury that cannot tolerate heavy squats? I don't necessarily know what shoulder injury you're referencing. Is it because bar positioning for heavy squats? Maybe try if your gym has a safety squat bar. A lot of people find that much more appealing to their shoulders. I cannot squat as much with a safety squat bar as I can with a straight bar, but that could be an alternative. What is my stance on PEDs in women and powerlifting? PED, performance enhancing drugs, if you don't know. I have gone all over the place with my stance on it, but basically, in summary, I feel like it's a personal decision for everyone. I think it's a great thing that there's affiliations that have drug-free and non-drug-free divisions, so that those people that want to stay, and be tested can kind of decide and go into that route. And then there's the open division where it's anything goes, you can or you cannot. I do feel like it's a personal choice. I think if it can be very scary for a female, where I've seen some females who've done some things to their body that maybe they didn't intend to do, because you don't know what you're putting on your body, because obviously you can't just go to CVS and buy these things, and it's not standardized. But I feel like if an athlete wants to do that, that's their personal choice. I feel like it's important for an athlete to take their strength potential as far as they can go without using those supplements first. That's just my personal choice, because I feel like people jump into the powerlifting world and maybe someone tells them about PEDs and they're like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. And I feel like it's an individual decision to be PC. I just want to say you're beautiful. Thanks. What made you get into powerlifting? I kind of alluded to how I did my first meet, but I was a bodybuilder and I wasn't that good at it. But also, the sport of bodybuilding is really defeatist. I had an eating disorder. It was a terrible sport for me. With the combination of the two, I feel like it's a really individualized sport where it's like, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, and nothing is standardized. It's people's opinions of what they think of you, which is terrible for your body image, and for me, at least. And then powerlifting, I feel like when I was powerlifting, when I first started, I was like with this group of dudes, and like everybody helped each other, and it was like this camaraderie, and I just really liked the family feeling of it. And I feel like you can't be a successful powerlifter alone. You need that handoff, you need a spot, you need somebody there, where you could do bodybuilding in fucking Antarctica and nobody could be there and you could still win your show. But I like the fact that it's very standardized, that there's criteria, and it's like, I'm better than you because I lifted more. Whereas bodybuilding, it could be, well, you paid for the pictures, so you get 2 more points. And those just aren't things that appeal to me. So once I did my first meet, I was hooked, because I was like, this is my sport. And then I just so happened to get good at it, which made it that much better. Does macro counting get easier? Yes and no. I feel like sometimes I do macro counting, sometimes I just do intuitive eating or whatever, like I was just describing. I feel like it's a personality thing. I feel like certain personalities are predisposed to having an easy time with dieting in general, and some people like that counting and categorizing makes you more anxious about the dieting process. So I don't necessarily know if it gets easier or not, because for me it's always hard. How did you build your business so successfully? We are really passionate about what we are doing, and I feel like that passion has shown through with our business and our family that we've created. It was a pretty risky decision to open the business, and we just went all in, and we're really happy that it ended up being the way that it is. So I don't know. I did most of the work for starting the business. Steven helped with anything and everything that came into moving the gym, doing any of the physical stuff. We had to remodel the bathrooms. If it wasn't for him, that wouldn't have happened. I feel like we're just a really good team in that he knows his strengths and I know my strengths, and we play off of those. So, I mean, if anybody wants some business coaching, I'm just really good at researching, and I just when I get my head on an idea, it's happening. Whether I have to move mountains, move people, do whatever I need to do, I will do it. So that is why it's successful, because I wanted to succeed that bad. What is your tip for someone who wants to get involved in powerlifting but is nervous? Find someone who's a powerlifter and start asking them questions. Go to a powerlifting gym and even just go there and sit there and check it out, and realize that it's a community of people that really want to help each other. I've never met a powerlifter who is just unwilling to help someone, especially someone that's new in the sport, because we've all been there and it is a scary feeling. So that's what I would do. What is my favorite ancillary lifts for benching? I like doing bench negatives. So I'll actually put my feet on top of a bench press. I will put my chest over the bench bar, and I will slowly lower myself to the bench, and then boom, accelerate off. Slowly lower myself to the bench, pause, and then accelerate off. I really focus on engaging my serratus and my posterior shoulder muscles. That is my favorite. I have a video of it somewhere on my Instagram, way far down. If you scroll and you scroll, it's in there. Secondary for improving deadlift, I think glute work, like I said before. Anything booty. How much does my education in physical therapy help lifting and coaching? It's totally what I rely on. I mean, the amount of body mechanics and muscle groups and everything that I know really is helping my lifters, as well as being a power lifter myself. So I have that education, and then I'm in the sport. So they go really hand in hand. What advice would you give? Wait, I'm reading this wrong. What would you advise powerlifters to educate themselves most on? I would say technique, form, technique. Watch videos of how to set up the bench, deadlift, and squat if you're new to it. Other advice would be, not every coach is for everyone. Not every program is for everyone. For my first 2 years of powerlifting, I switched programs all the time. I went on bodybuilding.com and I would do these different programs for strength, and some of them would work, some of them wouldn't. Not everyone is successful with a 5x5 or a 3x3 or the conjugate method or whatever. I think you need to, kind of jumble around until you find what feels right. But with that being said, there's also the caveat to that. Switching programs a lot will not give you long-term success. If you're going to go with a coach, you need to have some longevity to really see if that coach is going to progress you. And I would say at least 6 months is a good estimator of that, because you always break through those little, baby PR plateaus going with something new. And then you can kind of get stagnant, but you want to be able to continue to grow. And as your coach, if they're a good coach, if they get to know you better, they will get to program out your weaknesses and make you stronger in those areas. So I would say trial and error. Nothing is the number one correct program for anyone. And I love you too. Have you worked with someone with remitting relapsing MS? Yes, I actually have a patient who is transitioning to a client of mine who has MS. She also has some other surgical things going on. So yeah, in my PT career I have, and now in my training career I am as well. I'd like to know more about the process of becoming a DPT. It's expensive, it's long, it sucks, and you're a doctor and people think you give massages. Yes. You can DM me, Betty. We can chat. But I wouldn't change it for the world. Do you have any generic powerlifting plans to give people an idea of your coaching method? I do a version of template training where it's weekly updated sheets. It's only $75 a month, which is super fucking cheap for a weekly updated program that you plug in your own percentages. So it's not customized to your weaknesses, but it is, so you can do it for 1 month. You can see 4 weeks of what that coaching style would be like. But then if you get the one-on-one with feedback, not only do I change the main movements for your weaknesses, I will program in different accessories for your weaknesses. And then you get I did a 20-minute video the other day of me talking to you like this about your lifts for the week. I really care about my clients. How difficult is working around your eye candy for a husband, asking for a friend? I know. I never get anything done. Not sure if I ever said, but my daughter and I were wondering how you and Bum met. We met in Las Vegas at a pool party. Boom, 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 boom. So what happens in Vegas, I got married to. Did you ask for investors or partners, or did you start your gym on your own? It was just Steven and I. We debated that avenue because we were approached by several people about, you know, investing, and we decided that it wasn't for us. So we were saving to buy a house at that time. We took all of the money that we had, plus a lot of money we didn't have. We put a lot on credit cards, and we made it happen. What are the tools and knowledge you want for owning your own gym? It was just a lot of research. Wanting to own your own gym, a lot of research. You need to be strong in your organizational skills, have a business plan, look up how to make a business plan, and being able to delegate tasks appropriately, making sure you have the correct amount of funds. So I would say it's starting with a business plan. Look up what that is. Mine was like 40 pages. How did you build your business so successfully? We already asked that. For some reason, I'm thinking you're from Ohio. I am. I'm from Cleveland. I lived in Cleveland, Ohio for 27 years. And then I moved to Arizona. Then I moved here. Do you use any supplements? I kind of talked about that already. And I think that's it. Okay. So this was my first YouTube Q&A. I'm going to do some more YouTube things. Put some comments below if you want me to do any other videos. I'm gonna start doing, now that I have more time, some like stretching videos, some exercise tips. I do some of that on my Instagram already, but this is gonna be a longer format. So let me know what you guys want to see. Okay, bye.